The day my brother swapped my betrothal, all the capital waited for me to beg on my knees. No one knew that 3 years ago, pushed into a dry well and drowned, was the one now clinging to his side, Maine, with red-rimmed eyes, feigning innocence. The Shen ancestral hall blazed with candlelight, the ancestral tablets watching me. My brother slipped the Dooku's white jade betrothal tablet into his sleeve and shoved that unwanted bamboo tablet brutally in front of me.
Smash it. Apologize to Megan, and I'll give you the jade tablet back.
I didn't smash it. I bent down and picked up the bamboo tablet carved with Shahs, wiped off the dust. I said, Hail Mary. As I spoke, the hall doors burst open. The Shahs are here. 3 carriages, already blockading outside the Sheminor. The hall blazed with candlelight, the Shen ancestral tablets looming in the smoke, silently overlooking the gathered descendants. Grace knelt on the prayer cushion. Before her, 3 betrothal tablets lay on the altar. One of white jade carded white jade a tablet of Guyunji, of Dooku's manor. One of brass with a beast knob, the Zhou family tablet. Vice Minister of Renew, and a bamboo tablet, with Shah carved in cinnabar, plain and humble among the gold and jade. She should have taken the white jade tablet. She ended the Guyu family at health. Guyunji protected her for 6 years. The Gu household all expected her to marry an Adutianer, but later, the Gu family's true daughter, Maine, returned, and she became the unwanted one. Her second brother, Owen, walked past the altar. A flick of his sleeve, the jade tablet vanished into his sleeve. The bamboo tablet was shoved before Grace. Behind her, Owen saw young master, after his childhood trauma.
Stop speaking. Hides from everyone. Even needs his tea fed to him. If the second Miss Mary's there, how will she survive?
A figure in pale yellow stood there.
Tapping her eyes with a handkerchief, eyes slightly red. But her gaze slipped over the handkerchief's edge, unable to hide her smileness. Owen bent down, his lips almost touching Grace's ear, his voice cold as a knife.
Since you came back, Megan's been mocked everywhere. Today you'll taste humiliation too. We won't really make you marry him. Just give in. Smash the tablet, and this ends. Won't really make her marry him.
If she smashes the Shah tablet, she shames the Shahs and her own name. Then no one will produce the jade tablet. And she'll owe him a favor, and owe Megan a debt. She hasn't smashed it. Even better, marry a disabled husband. Her future is easy to imagine, a trap either way. Grace reached out, bent down and picked up the bamboo tablet, brushed off the dust. I'll marry. The hall fell silent. Father Bernard turned pale. Main sobs caught in her throat. The handkerchief slipped from her fingers. Owen's face twisted in shock. He blurted out her old name, Lin Jiwei.
Don't be crazy!
I looked at him calmly. Since you dared to swap, brother, you should know the consequences. The Shah tablet is now in my hand, so I'll marry into that family. As for the Gu jade tablet, keep it for whoever wants it. She had already died once. 3 years ago, in the Gu back garden, someone pushed her into a well. Water filled her mouth and nose. She remembered the hand that pushed her, knuckles sharp, wearing a white jade bracelet, glittered on Megan's wrist. She saw the exact same bracelet. After facing life and death like that, what is marrying a mute man? Suddenly, the hall doors were pushed open. The can of wings littered. The gatekeeper stumbled in. Face full of panic, the Shahs are here.
3 carriages already at the lane entrance. The hall erupted.
The tablet selection had just ended, and the Shah carriages were already here, as if they'd known all along that someone would accept this bamboo tablet today, just waiting for Grace to say, I'll marry. Grace looked down. The bamboo tablet in her palm seemed faintly warm. She entered the main hall and gave only a half bow. Didn't even bend fully. She has served the old madam for 30 years, a trusted old servant, her robe, her hair immaculately combed, not a strand out of place. The Shen family sat in the hall. She stood, yet her presence made it seem like she was judging them. By the old madam's order, I've come
to ask one question. The tablet chosen in the ancestral hall, does the Shen family still honor it? Bernard's face changed.
Madam, you exaggerate. This was just my son's foolishness.
The bamboo tablet's not real. Master Shen. Martha raised her eyes. Her voice was low even.
The riot was in the hall.
The ancestors watched.
She took the tablet herself. The whole clan was watching. If you call this a mistake, I'll report back exactly what happened. But from now on, the Shen girl's jade tablets might be hard for anyone to accept.
When those words fell, dead silence. The Shens have many unwed girls. If this ruins their names, none can bear it. Grace stepped out from the crowd. Tell her, I am willing. Martha turned. Her gaze fell on her, with some scrutiny. Are you sure, miss? Our young master is not like others.
He cannot speak. He fears strangers. He fears loud noises.
The Shahs will shield him,
and will protect the young madam.
But if it is just out of spite, resentment will grow between you. No one will be happy. Grace didn't pause. I've decided.
Martha studied her long.
Then drew something out. Both hands offered it. The young master heard of the match. He made this gift himself.
He asked me to bring it to you.
A grasshopper of woven stems, finely made.
6 legs distinct, antennae curved. Even the veins on the wings were clear, as if to leap from her palm. Some ladies nearby couldn't help but laugh. Others give gold and jade. The Shah heir gives a grass bug. Grace took it with both hands. She cradled it in her palm. Thank you, ma'am. Please thank the young master for me. Turn away. Martha leaves. Bernard scolds Owen harshly. Unfilial son, Look what you've done. Owen holds his face.
Still defense!
I just vented for Megan!
Who knew she'd dare?
Brother. Grace cuts him off.
Her tone is flat.
Stop fretting over what kind of sister I am.
When I wed the Shaws, I won't be in your way. She turns to leave. Megan stares at her back.
That handkerchief stays on the ground in her yard. Grace shuts the door. She eyes the grasshopper in her palm. By candlelight, the weaving is astonishingly fine. Each blade pattern, joints are bound with hair, thin grass, even veins under the wings are detailed. Such craftsmanship could only come from a clever mind. The day the Duke's annulment came. So polite. A good match can't be forced, since Miss Grace has another match. The Gus won't delay her. Every word careful, each phrase proper, just not who swapped first. Bernard locked himself in his study. 2 days he stayed in. Mother cried again and again. Eyes swollen like walnuts. Owen slammed the doors in a rage. She chose this herself. Now it is a myth. Who is to blame?
No one answers! The Shaw bridal gown! Surprised all!
Thick red brocade, firm and grand. Golden lace is fine. The fit is perfect. Grace stands before the bronze mirror as the maid ties her sash. She says, Miss, the Shaw family really put care into this gown. Grace stayed silent. She traced her sleeve's embroidery. The stitches were fine, and even not a single skip stitch. That night, Owen knocked on her door. He stood in the court once. He wasn't scowling. His voice was low. I'll apologize to the Shaws. Then have father speak with Dooku.
This can still be fixed.
Why throw yourself into the fire? Grace looked at him from the doorway.
When you swapped the tablets,
Did you think of me as your sister? Owen was struck silent. His lips moved, but no words came out.
Another day passed. Megan came. She held a brocade box. Her eyes were red as usual, she said upon entering. I brought some bridal gifts. Brother Owen, I never thought he'd do this. I just complained to him a bit. Who knew he'd take it seriously? Grace looked inside the box. But the ordinary silver bracelets, she didn't reach for them. You didn't think. She gave a small laugh. You just wanted to humiliate me in the ancestral hall. You were sure I'd throw the tablet. Sure I'd beg Owen to return the jade tablet. You just didn't count on me accepting it. Megan's face went pale. You weren't the one pushed out. After you came back, I gave up the side courtyard.
Gave up mother. Gave up grandmother's bracelets. And now my marriage is taken to vent your anger. Is that enough for you? Megan stepped back.
Her lips trembled,
But she couldn't say a word.
The night before the wedding, Mother came with gifts. She'd grown much thinner. With trembling hands, she took out jade hairpins. They were part of her dowry. You still resent me. Tears fell again. Grace looked at the jade hairpins. Her voice was soft. I did. Now I don't want to anymore. It is too tiring.
After Mother left, Grace placed the jade hairpins at the bottom of her jewelry box.
Moonlight, cold and clear. The wedding dress hangs still. The grasshopper on the desk casts a long, thin shadow in the candlelight. No music, no grand sedan chair. Just 2 rows of red lanterns. Quiet, not like a wedding. Madame Martha came herself, held the curtain, whispered. The old madam said, The road is smooth today. Don't be afraid of the bumps, madam.
Grace sat holding the grasshopper. She answered softly.
Red silk hung neat at the Shaw Manor. Few guests, close family only. Grace stepped down, hid behind a pillar. A rustle of fabric. She glanced over. A figure in red robes, hem peeking from the pillar. Pulled back in haste. Landon hid behind the pillar, fingers clutching the pillar tight. Knuckles white. He wore his wedding robes. His features were fine, but his face so pale, near translucent, he peeked out a little. His eyes met the red candles. His body stiffened. He began to tremble. He fears fire. Grace told Madame Martha, Please, madam, remove half the red candles. In the hall, the old Madame Victoria. Candles taken one by one. The hall grew dimmer. Landon, huddled behind the pillar, slowly relaxed a bit. He peeked from the pillar's edge. His gaze fell on Grace's sleeve. Her cuff was slightly bulging. Half a grasshopper wing showed. His eyes lit up briefly. Grace reached out to him. My name is Grace. Landon stared at her hand. Fingers curled and then curled, like a cat too scared to come close. Someone in the guest seats snickered. Grace turned. A cold glare swept over them. The Shaw young master weds. Please show respect. Laughter stopped short. During the bows, Landon moved slowly. Away, bowing to heaven and earth. He froze in place. Grace gently took his arm.
Hi,
In French. When they bowed, head down, eyes on her skirt hem. Lips moved, as if to speak. But no sound came. From start to end, Grace never rushed him, never frowned, not a trace of impatience. The room was quiet. 2 red candles lit. Car on the table. Flames, shaded by lamp, a dim glow filled half the room. Grace sat at the table. Since dawn, through the rites. Half a bowl of porridge. Now, she was starving. She took a cake. Eating slowly, Landon huddled in bed, clutching old grass figurine, fingers rubbing the grass stems, stealing glances when she ate more. He swallowed hard. Grace pushed a cake to the table's edge. Once he didn't move. She didn't look, nor feed him. She just said, "Come get it." After a while, a rustling came from the bed. Landon crept over. Saturday at the table, reached for the cake. Eating in tiny bites. Eyelashes down, eating slowly. He looked up. Lips moved a bit. No sound, but the words were clear. "You won't laugh." Grace understood. She put down her cake. Asked back, "Why would I laugh?" Thunder rolled overhead. Landon bolted upright in bed.
Shrank to the corner.
Hands clamped on ears. He shook like a leaf in the wind. No sound from his lips. Only broken gasps from his throat. Grace sat up. She lit no lamp. Didn't touch him. Saturday, on the footstool. Recited Shaw precepts. Shaw family precepts. First rule. Filial piety first. Her voice was steady. Calm as a bowl of warm water. Stay as water. She spoke between the thunder. Word by word, she didn't coax, didn't comfort, just recited, unhurried by the seventh rule. Someone tugged her sleeve. Landon's fingers trembled, but stubbornly hooked her cuff. He pointed with his other hand. Her lips moved quickly twice. The third rule. After the fifth.
Grace froze. He could correct her mistakes.
She'd been distracted. She'd swapped the third and fifth rules. Not mentally impaired. He just can't speak, and deeply terrified. "All right, I'll start over," she said. She started from rule 1.
Till the thunder ceased.
Till the rain eased. Till the one behind unclasped his ears. His breathing steadied. By dawn, Grace slept on the footstool. Head by the bed. Landon sat on the bed. He gazed at her long. Then pulled a quilt corner over her knees. The Shaw ledgers. On the third day, they reached Grace. The old madam said nothing. Martha brought half a wall of books. Piled in her yard, the meaning was clear. Investigate freely. The Shaws won't stop you. Grace opened the first book, sensed wrong. Landon's monthly calming incense, shockingly large. Ordinary Hohendsburg calming incense, 3 ounces a month at most. He used 2 pounds, checking the supplier. All from the second branch's shops. Prices 30% above market. She closed the ledger, summoned the steward. The steward smiled politely, but his words were airtight. "Madam, this incense formula
Was prescribed by Master Bradley's physician. I just run errands.
I know nothing else.
Grace recalled the wedding faces. A smiling, doughy man,
nodding to all. Old talk. Since the old master died, he runs the shops and lands outside. Victoria's frail, and Landon as he is. So most household affairs are in his hands. She had Martha pull all of Landon's medical records. Called out to check the incense. The doctor frowned at it. This formula contains storax, in an absurdly high dose.
Storax is meant to revive the senses, but in excess, it damages the mind. To give such a strong dose, Grace kept silent. She put the prescription away. At dusk, she left the study and nearly tripped.
Landon crouched outside the study, leaning on the frame, weaving a new grass figurine. Half a body already done. It looked like a dragonfly. He'd been there for who knows how long. Hearing the door, he looked up, eyes bright on her. Grace asked, "Going to bed?" He shook his head. His lips moved. The shape was, "You are not sleeping." Grace paused, surprised. Then she smiled. "You get hurt a bit," he nodded, and mouthed something else. "It is chilly at night." On the way back to the maid house, they passed a covered corridor. The night wind cut through, carrying hushed voices of 2 maids. "The young madam has it so hard. Anyone else wouldn't last 3 days. Probably not even 1.
I know, right? Can't even speak a word. Needs help. Just to eat."
Landon's steps halted.
The lantern stretched her shadow long and thin.
She stood there, pen on our sides, not turning around, not moving. At the slight smile she wore when handing in the grass figurine, slowly flattened. Grace turned around and walked toward the voices. The 2 maids saw her emerge from the shadows and dropped to their knees in terror. "Tomorrow morning, go to Martha for your punishment." Punishment tomorrow. Grace's voice was low. "If anyone speaks disrespectfully again, pack and leave." Back in her room,
Grace sat down.
poured tea. Landon stood by the door, twisting his robe. She looked at him, then asked, "Afraid I'll leave?" Landon's face went pale. He shook his head fast, then nodded. His lips moved. 2 silent words. Not true. He held out the grass dragonfly, offering it quick
and urgent.
Afraid she'd refuse, Grace took it. By the grasshopper. "Ask less from now on," she said. He nodded hard. That night, Grace lay in bed, the prescription in mind. Starrat, too much harms the mind. A mute, frightened young master. An uncle handling affairs, yet holding back. A years-old prescription, strung together. A chill rose in her heart. Landon's illness, not natural. When the incense was tested, Grace sat in the study for a full hour. The old doctor called, pointed at dark brown bits in the dregs. His face grave. This is forget-me, not herb.
Crushed in storax. The scent is completely masked. In small doses, it calms, but inhaled year after year, it clouds the mind, silences the tongue, weakens the limbs. I've practiced 40 years. Only read of this evil in old texts. Grace stared. The prescription, her fingertips cold. The calming incense Landon grew up with
Was no cure. She took the dregs straight to the old madam. Victoria read it, her face turning livid. Her cane struck the floor hard. After a pause, she spoke. Good. Very good.
I nearly died in that way. Look at my grandsons in their hands. Investigate.
Get to the bottom of this! That night, Landon had a fever! His forehead burned. He shrank under the quilt, trembling.
Grace stayed by the bed, wiping his sweat with a cloth. He was delirious, eyes half closed. His lips moved. No sound, but the shape repeated. Stark and clear. Uncle. Fire. The door was locked. Grace leaned down and held his hand. Martha covered her mouth. Tears streamed down suddenly. Madam. Grace turned her head. We're at this point. Speak. Martha knelt by the bed. Her voice trembled. When the young master was 7, the madam's courtyard caught fire at night. Master Bradley arrived first.
He rushed in and carried the young master out. Everyone praised his kindness. But the madam didn't make it. Since then, the young master stopped speaking. He hides from everyone. Fears fire. Fears loud noises. The old madam sought so many doctors. Master Bradley always rushed to recommend physicians.
Now I realize he wasn't seeking cures. He was using harmful tricks. Grace took over.
Martha nodded, weeping. Landon woke from his fever in the early morning. He opened his eyes.
Saw Grace still by his bedside. He paused briefly. From under his pillow, he pulled out paper. He practiced countless times. The edges were worn. He handed her the paper. The writing was neat, but the strokes were shaky. Some lines trembled badly, as if written desperately while lucid. The paper listed several names, including dismissed old stewards. At the bottom, just 2 words. Fire basin. Grace looked up at him. You know who it is? He nodded, then shook his head. His lips moved, slow but clear. Sometimes things... Sometimes, in a fog. The incense they gave me made me drowsy.
Couldn't speak. I wanted to speak. My mouth wouldn't open. I wanted to write. My fingers wouldn't move. So in his lucid moments, he pieced together this paper. Spill it out. Hold it under the pillow. Wait for him.
Grace folded the paper into her robe, then she took his hand. I trust you. Landon stared. A long moment, his eyes reddened. He lowered his head.
Buried his face in her hand.
His shoulders trembled. In all these years, someone caught him. Not passed by. Grace placed the worn, frayed paper before Victoria's desk. They shared a look. Victoria read it, then fell silent. She said just one thing. Don't startle the snake yet. I know. Grace answered crisply.
Bradley controls half the Shaw family's shops and lands.
His people are everywhere. If we strike and miss, he'll bite back. The one in danger is Landon. Landon weaned off incense. First days were hardest. He couldn't sleep. His limbs trembled. Cold sweat poured from his brow. Grace chewed all incense, flung windows wide. Night wind rushed in. Curtains snapped and fluttered. He huddled in the corner. She sat reciting precepts over and over, till her voice went hoarse. By the 7th day, his eyes began to change. That lost, foggy look from before fed in its place. A clear light, tinged with shyness. He started to write. His hand still shook. Strokes were crooked, but each pressed with force. The first paper he wrote. When Grace took it, he barely dry. Jue, thank you. Grace stared at those words. Her eyes suddenly stung. He used her old name from the Gu Emily. Overheard from Owen. How long he'd remembered. My name is Grace, she said, her voice a little hoarse. He wrote again. I know. Grace sounds better.
Faster than she could think.
He was drinking tea, and then all. His smile was genial as ever. Seeing Grace enter, he rose and cupped his hands. Madam, you've worked hard. That boy Landon is so troublesome. He must have caused you much trouble.
She answered with a smile. The young master is doing well. No trouble.
Bradley's hand paused, teacup midair. His smile deepened. That is good. The lid clinked, a tiny, crisp sound.
He changed houses, mentioned shop profits.
This year's land rent's flawless, Grace replied half-heartedly. But her mind pieced it together. The brazier was tampered. The gate was locked from outside. After his father died, Bradley, to help his nephew, took over affairs and brought doctors and remedies, with medicine and incense. He locked Landon in Vogue, a mute young master who hid from all. Naturally, he couldn't stand in his way. The Shaws couldn't act, so Martha found the old servant dismissed. To file a complaint, Victoria suppressed news inside. All seemed normal. Landon wrote more and more. He poured out memories bit by bit. Sometimes his hand would stop. His hand shook. Ink drops bled across the paper. He'd tear and rewrite. One day he filled 2 sheets. Writing of the fire in his mother's yard. He buried his head in his knees. His shoulders heaved long. He handed Grace a piece of paper. I feared no one would believe. Grandmother is old. Uncle runs the house.
I, a voiceless man. No one takes my words seriously. Grace read it, then wrote below. Now you speak. I'll pass it on. Lennon stared.
For a long time, he then took the brush beside her words. A tiny drawing. A crooked grasshopper, just like that. Grass figurine. At the spring rite, the Shaw Hall blazed with candles. The whole clan sat in attendance. Old Madame Victoria sang on her. First, she asked how the estate accounts. The Scion ran as bookkeeper. Bought ledgers, every entry accounted for. Flawless. Bradley sat below the old madam, sipping tea splendidly as if it were any other day. He thought today was just a formality. Grace stood up and asked one question. The calming incense Landon uses each month. Why is it all billed through the second branch's shop?
At 30% above market price. Bradley's hand froze on his teacup. Then he laughed. Madam, you've just arrived. You don't know the Shaw family's past.
Landon's been mute since childhood.
That incense was prescribed by a physician. Using our own shop. It was just for convenience. The physician wrote the prescription. Grace stared at him. Bradley gave a name. Grace glanced toward the door.
Madam Martha led 3 physicians in.
One a retired imperial physician, one an old master from Tang, and one who once treated Landon. He was dismissed by the second branch. The incense dregs were plowed. 3 prescriptions laid side by side. The old physician examined the dregs. His voice trembled as he looked up. This is no calming incense. It is laced with forget-me, not herb, enough to cloud the mind and senses.
And steal his speech! This isn't healing. It is deliberate harm. The hole erupted. Bradley's face darkened. Landon was already mute.
The incense was to spare him distress. Madam, you bring a pile of who knows what.
And pin it on me.
Isn't that going too far? Then let's set aside the incense. Grace shifted her tone.
Her voice calm as ice.
Her voice was ice.
About the fire that year.
Bring them in. The side door opened. 2 gray-haired elders were helped in.
One was the maid from Madame Shaw's yard.
The other, a gatekeeper banished for years. The maid knelt and wept. That night, the lamp was tampered with. Oil was poured on the curtains. The gate was locked from outside.
I saw it with my own eyes. But no one dared ask back then. Asking meant being sold off. Bradley slammed the table. The teacup tipped and rolled. Ridiculous.
Witnesses can be bought. Land can be bought, old madam.
You let a new bride turn the hall into chaos? He stopped mid-sentence. He glimpsed someone behind the screen. His voice cut off. Landon stepped from the screen.
He didn't hide. In a moon-white robe, he walked step by step to stand beside Grace. The hall fell silent. A teacup dropped. Shattered, he held a stack of papers, approached old man Victoria, knelt, offered them with both hands. Some strokes still trembled, but every word was clear. The brazier spot, the locked gate, his mother pounding the door, flames outside, his uncle's face beyond the courtyard. Victoria read each page. Her hands shook, barely holding the paper. He looked at Bradley. No tears, only a blade-cold stare. Landon stood up, turned to Bradley. His lips moved. No sound, but everyone read the word on his lips. Uncle. He raised a paper. On it, just one line. He killed my mother and ruined my life. The hall erupted. Bradley stepped back. His smile cracked. The hall doors burst open. Officers filed in. The lead officer bowed. The complaints filed. Witnesses and proof here.
Master Bradley, come with us. Bradley lost composure when seized. He screamed back.
Sister-in-law. All these years for the Shaws.
Arcane strike!
Call me sister-in-law again!
How will you repay my son's life? They took him away. Landon stood center hall. His shoulders stayed tense.
He turned to Grace beside him. She hadn't moved. After Bradley's punishment, the Shaws were a hornet's nest. His people purged overnight. More posts vacant than fields. Grain ships sat at dock half a month. No one took over. Pharmacy books were a tangled mess. Lisa Muffin, Akon, Victoria was worn out. Landon was still recovering. Grace moved all ledgers to the study. Went through each one. Outsiders craned their necks to mock. The Shaw heir is impaired. His Baishan cast off. Bradley's branch fell. Can the Shaw survive? 3 months later, grain ships sailed on time. The pharmacy got a new doctor. Income up 20%. Those craned necks quietly withdrew. Came one by one. Father Bernard came first. Left some herbs. He stood, wringing his hands. Manage. Send word if you need help. Grace said okay.
They stood silent. He wrung his hands. We left.
Mother came later. Mona came late with a cart of things, from silks to tonics, everything needed when Landon greeted her. Her gaze lingered on him. Her smile froze. She is not used to this meet son-in-law. Landon poured tea. His moves were steadier than at the wedding. His wrists didn't shake. Tea streamed in a perfect line. Not a drop spilled. Setting the pot down, he drew a folded paper, fine paper, unfolded it, offered it with both hands. Only 3 words. Please, Marla. The writing was neat, evenly pressed. No more crooked, trembling strokes from 3 months ago. Mother froze. She looked at the paper, then at Landon. Her eyes reddened. She took the tea and sipped, murmuring softly, good tea. But her voice choked. Owen arrived last. He stood outside a long while, for a drink. Seeing Landon by the window, writing with a brush, his stroke swift and fluid, exchanging a few words with grace. No voice, just pen and paper. Yet they conversed with ease. He was silent for a long time that day of the tubwood swap. Before Owen left, he finally spoke.
I wronged you.
Grace looked at him. She didn't say it is in the past.
What did she say? She forgave him.
She just nodded. But that's sorry. I heard it. Owen turned and walked to the door, then came back and bowed solemnly to Landon. Thank you for treating Grace well. Landon thought a moment and wrote 5 words.
Handed it to him. She was kind to me first.
After Owen left, she said not. Landon stole glances at her, his fingers rubbing his sleeve hazily. What are you nervous about? Without looking up, he wrote again. Afraid you'd say I wrote wrong. Grace couldn't help but laugh. She folded that paper and put it in her door box alongside that first grass figurine. Outside, someone called for ma'am to shake out. She answered and headed out. At the door, she turned back. Don't wait up tonight. Sleep first. Landon nodded. But when she returned from work, the lamp under the east still burned. He was crouched by the door. Willie knew Grass figurine 3 or 4. Already lay beside him, a grasshopper, a dragonfly, a butterfly, lined up in a row, as if awaiting her inspection. Grace bent and picked up the butterfly. The veins on its wings were finer than before, she thought. His hand there growing steadier. Landon's recovery was slower than anyone expected. Sometimes he'd sit in the study, poring over ledgers for hours, writing meticulous notes in the margins. The characters so neat, they seemed engraved. Other times, he'd suddenly forget things. Standing under the eaves, staring blankly at something, Martha would call him several times before he'd turn around, dazed. On stormy nights, he still woke in terror, huddled in bed, wrapped in his quilt. At the sight of braziers or rows of candles, he would still freeze, his pupils slightly dilated, taking a long while to look away. But he no longer hid from people. He began trying to converse with pen and paper, starting with Martha. Then to his doors, even the clan elders who occasionally came to discuss matters. He still didn't say much, but every word was written down, clear and plain. He learned to take the chaos inside and write it out. One windy day, the old locust tree in the yard rustled loudly. He sat by the window and wrote, Joy, the wind is strong. I feel a bit unsettled. Another time, someone in the second branch, individual things. After they left, he wrote, the second branch came. I don't like them. Grace kept all these notes, one by one, folded in a drawer box. Sometimes daying them out to read. More delightful than any storybook. Old Mam Shaw, the David Duran, the whole clan was present. The ebony box was opened, the bronze seal heavy on the velvet. Landon stared at it for a long time. He reached out, his fingertips trembling as they touched the bonds. The cold metal made him tense up for an instant. Then he turned to Grace beside him, standing half a step to his right. Her sleeve, lightly brushing his hand, she said nothing, just gave a slight nod. He looked away and firmly grasped the seal, lifting it high. The whole fell silent a moment, then a ragged chorus of congratulations rose. That night, he wrote her a line. I used to think I was worthless. Grace read it, pressed the paper to the table, and wrote beside it. You are not, he wrote again. Now I know I am not. In autumn, they spent a few days at a villa outside the city. 2 persimmon trees in the yard. Most leaves had fallen. A few ripe ones clung to branches. Landon sat on the doorstep, weaving grass. A small bundle beside him, weaving dawn to dusk, made a row. Dragonflies, butterflies, neatly lined up. He picked the finest butterfly for Grace, wings woven with 2 shades of grass. And Teddy curved, just right, resting in his palm. On their wedding day, fearing your scorn, he turned the paper. Wrote again, now not afraid. Grace pinned the butterfly in her hair, turned to him. Nice. Landon gazed at her, his lips curved, not the timid smile of before. A genuine, true smile, from lips to eyes. First time Grace saw him smile, she looked away, sipped tea beside her. The tea seemed sweeter than usual. The persimmons swayed gently in the breeze. Sunlight through the branches. On the row of grass figures, Landon wove, cold and bright. Owen wed, a compiler's daughter. Surname Shu, lively nature, her laugh louder than the groom. At the right, Owen stumbled, so nervous. His bride burst out laughing under the veil. All guests laughed. Grace and Landon reached the capital the day before. Gone for 2 years, the locust tree at the gate unchanged. Only the gatekeeper knew. He stared a moment, then announced her. Bernard came to greet. Landon carried herbs. With herbs, good you are back, he muttered. Said it many times. At the tea right, Grace sat in the seat of honor. About to rise, the bride came smiling with the teacup. Walked to her. My husband speaks of you. Says you are capable. And says he was foolish. Asked me to apologize. Nora thrust the cup in his hand. Added softly, he also said, if he hadn't been so foolish, the Shaws wouldn't have gotten this bargain. Grace couldn't help but laugh out loud. Landon sat beside her. Hearing this, his lips curved too. Now he could sometimes let out a soft laugh, like a breath. 3 flow, gentle, afraid to startle. After the feast, Owen saw them out. He stood at the gate a moment, drew a wooden bird, gave it to Landon. It was a magpie, wings carved unevenly, beak slightly crooked, carving very rough, but polished over and over. Landon took it with both hands, looked at it, took out charcoal and paper. Put in palm, wrote 3 words. Thank you, brother. Owen stared at those words. His throat bobbed, turned away. A long while later, turned back, eyes slightly red, said gruffly, next time you come, send word earlier. Let your sister-in-law prepare things for you.
The carriage home through the streets.
Sunlight sifted through the curtain gaps,
Sunset sifts through the curtain.
casting long golden stripes across their laps. Grace leans on the carriage wall, turning the wooden bird in her hands. Happy today. Landon takes paper and pen. Happy, you smiled a lot. She looks at him. Because you smiled too. He doesn't reply. He writes a long time. The pen tip pauses, moves, pauses, moves, pauses. Grace doesn't rush him. Sunset lights his fingers, softening the old, fine scars, fading them. At last he hands her the paper. Joey, when you picked up the bamboo tablet in the hall, I heard at the Shaw house too. Madame Martha said, the Shen girl took your tablet. I asked her, did she cry? Madame Martha said, number. She just said, oh Mary, that is when I thought, this person seems different. Grace looks at these words. Her eyes sting. She folds the paper, that's it in her sleeve, then takes his hand. Landon, thank you for waiting so long. He shakes his head, writes in her palm, thank you for coming. As the carriage leaves the gate, sunset dyes the street orange. Red dyes it orange, red. Landon leans on Grace's shoulder. His fingers fly. The grass theory slowly becomes a bee, fuller than any before. Perfect. Grace looks out the window, recalls that afternoon in the hall. Candles everywhere, whispered laughter. The bamboo tablet fell. So light, almost silent. Those who laughed at her will never know. What she picked up wasn't shame. It was her way out. Away from bias and cold stares. For Landon, a path out of silence and fear. The bets when they went to, both once misplaced, but later. Neither stayed where they were left.